Technical people, they just think that I will just keep doing my job and somehow the world will reward me. Just because you do something doesn't mean that people will automatically find you and they will automatically give you some new job offer or things like that. Because once you write some code or once you write a program, the computer is now all programmed and everything will just work. So, but this does not translate in the human world. Just because you do something doesn't mean that people will automatically find you and they will automatically give you some new job offer or things like that. You have to go out there, sell yourself, market yourself, make it clear that what you're doing is important and it's valuable, and you have to make sure that people understand what is your unique selling points. And without doing that, it's very hard for people to discover who you are or what you bring to the table. I would say that was the biggest challenge that I was having, that if I can get into a conversation with the hiring manager, then I can convince the person that I can do the job. But how do you get into that conversation with the hiring manager? And that is a big problem for a lot of people. And I think that's what this course really taught me how to do. You provide resources, but you force me to work on those on my own. So I had to do my homework, right? If I have to build a muscle, you cannot build it for me, right? So you keep reminding that you have to do your exercise, you have to do your push-ups, only then you will build a muscle. It's the same thing. If most people are procrastinating, most people know what needs to be done. They know that, like, people who are unhappy in their jobs, they know that they want to find a new job. They know that they want to get a cooler job. They know they want a different title. They know they want to work at different companies, but they're not putting in the hours. They're not putting in the effort to doing that, right? So keeping that accountability, having this every week call, and for a period of time, I was seeing the same group of people, and it does two things. One is you see that they are making progress, and if they are making progress and you're not making progress, then there is some peer pressure. Also, if you see that this is a successful process for others, then you get more confidence that the process will succeed for you. You're putting in the hours on the right set of topics. You're working on the right things. You're working on this abundance mindset, for instance. If you continue to put in hours, but you operate in scarcity mindset, it's not going to help. You're going to just keep doing more and more interviews. But in those interviews, if you keep coming across as a needy person, if you keep coming across as somebody who's desperate, then it will not result in any significant job change.
Before working with me, what was your situation in terms of getting interviews and offers?
I was getting occasional incoming calls from recruiters, but these were not translating into interviews or into offers. I might have one conversation with a hiring manager or a screening call, but it would not lead to an eventual offer. I was also getting a lot of recruiter outreach for roles that were either at my own level or one level lower than my current level. I was not getting recruiters reaching out to me for higher level roles or better titles. The way my role or my skills were being marketed on LinkedIn was just wrong. I had just created my own LinkedIn profile. I'd put bare minimum information there. And so it was not bringing the right people to that profile. A lot of the conversations felt like waste of time. Why should this employer or this recruiter talk to me as a candidate? I think that was not standing out in my LinkedIn profile. What's the best way of marketing myself? What's the best way of approaching somebody? What's the best way of positioning myself? How do I reach out to a person and tell them, here are the things I have done, without explicitly saying, here are the things I have done, or that I did an MBA executive program? How do I mention that I have PhD? Like, how do you mention all these things in the course of the conversation so that your status gets elevated and the other person wants to talk to you more? Those videos on flip the script, that was really good.
What do you mean?
How do you get the other person to chase you as opposed to you are chasing them? How do you get people to understand that you can solve their problem? If I am having this conversation with you and I am showing you how I might solve this problem, or I'm giving you signals of how I might solve this problem without explicitly stating it, then in your head, you are concluding that, yes, this guy can solve my problem. This guy knows what he's talking about. This guy is what I need.
Why technical guys like engineers, especially engineers, data, these type of individuals are failing on just focusing on what they do, AI, data, engineering, software, and ignore that part? Because there are so many people like you, before working with me, they are like, look, I have a PhD, I'm very smart, I know exactly what I'm doing, but they don't know how to get to higher level roles. Why do you think that's happening to technical people especially?
I think there are two things. One is companies keep technical people separate from the business people. So in any company, if you're a technical person, at least in the initial part of your career, your rewards come for being more and more technical. So people go deeper and deeper. People get more and more technical. They're rewarded for that. And then their ability to progress further plateaus out. Because at that point, the companies are going, oh, you can only do technical stuff. You don't understand the business. So the incentive structure is just broken. In order to advance beyond a point, you need to have non-technical knowledge, the softer skills, the ability to engage with the business, the big picture understanding of how is this company making money. In the first part of the career, if the company is discouraging you from exploring that, which is what it does with most of the technical people, like most of the technical people suck at sales. I had no idea how to sell myself, how to sell my skills, right? Like how, if I went into a conversation with someone, then how would I tell this person, how can I add value to their firm? How can I make money for their company? That is something that you have to learn, right? This is an area where technical people are not very good at it. I mean, most people who go into technology don't want to talk to people. So once you realize that that is where the problems are, then you can start working on it if you have the right kind of coaching and right kind of expertise available. That's one part. The second part, technical people are much more used to systems and extremely logical ways of thinking. They're not used to what is needed in order to get these kind of higher level roles. How do you brand yourself? How do you create your own brand? And how do you sell that brand to somebody who might be interested? How do you find the right set of people who are the buyers for that brand? This is something that somebody in marketing would understand very intuitively, but this is something that technical people don't understand. What creates a brand? How do you sustain the brand? How do you create a funnel of people who are interested in that brand? How do you filter that funnel and get to the people who are actual decision makers? How do you influence the decision makers? What helped me the most was attitude. What attitude do you bring into the conversation? If you go into the conversation clear in your mind that you are adding as much value to the company as the company is adding to you, and therefore it's a conversation between equals, they don't have more power over you. They don't control your destiny. And this is, I think you've called it in the past, abundance mindset. As opposed to mindset of scarcity, right? So abundance mindset. I think that was super helpful, because once you switch flips in your head, you go into conversations clear that if this conversation doesn't work out, there's something else.